You either own a house, rent a house, want to own a house, or want to own a house that you rent. Everybody wants a home. Everyone has to live somewhere. So when you're looking at the housing market in the UK, it's a critical sign of what's happening in the economy, because it's the one thing that everybody needs. You need to rent a home, or you want to buy your own home. Everybody wants to try and get on the property ladder. And yet, if you're on the property ladder, or you own a home that you rent out, you're perceived to be a capitalist. Now, the government is relying on the construction industry to drag us out of what we could argue is a mini recession. But what's the bad news for Rachel Reeves? The bad news is the Land Planning and Building Federation have reported back to her this last week to say construction new build starts is at an all-time low. Savills have reported back on the last 3 quarters of the housing market to say that the sale of new homes is the slowest it's been in the last 15 years, since the 2007 and 2008 collapse, where loads of house builders went bankrupt. Persimmon shares, Taylor Wimpey shares, they plummeted, they fell off a cliff, only to be rescued and to come back out again. New home sales on large development sites are selling at a rate of 0.25% of the homes a week. That means if you build 100 homes, that every week that goes by, every month, 0.25 a week, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'll sell 1. So if I've built 100 homes, it's going to take me 100 months to sell out at the current sales rate. In fact, it is so slow that Sadiq Khan and Rachel Reeves have had to drop the affordable housing provision requirements in London from 35% on new builds down to 20%, because the developers are saying it's simply not viable for us to start. If I build 100 houses or 100 flats in a block, and 35% of them have to be given free to the state for affordability for council houses, it doesn't make any money, I'm not going to start. The very fact that they have insisted on that is a non-compromised position by the government. In fact, Sadiq Khan wanted 50%, which, by the way, is what they're proposing for unlocking greenbelt sites in the emerging planning policy. If you get planning on a greenbelt site, you've got to provide 50% of the houses for affordable. That's their plan. In addition to community infrastructure levy, biodiversity net gain, nutrient neutrality, water neutrality, self-surface water drainage solutions, minimum sizes, disabled compliant, future home standards, right? I honestly was looking at some strategic land that's being promoted the other day for a client, and I was reading through their reps into the planners for this emerging local plan, whether their site should be allocated for housing. And I was going through it like, oh my God, how many expenses, how many costs, how many obligations are there? Why do these guys even bother? That's what I thought, and I'm in the industry. I thought, what's this all about? Increased planning costs, increased obligations, worsening planning services, and then you turn around and go, we're going to build 1.5 million new homes so that you can get a new home. Oh, by the way, when we've built them, there's nobody who wants to buy them, because you can't get, stamp duty up, interest rates up, electric and gas bills up. It's almost probably 40%, 50% of some people's salaries. Someone wrote to me the other day and said like 70% of their income goes on just their basic living costs. If they earn £2,000 a month, £1,400 is going in rent, council tax and bills. That leaves the rest of it is just enough for food and maybe to go out every now and then. And then we're going to build loads of houses for people to buy, to put themselves in a constant debt cycle. I know what I want to do. I want to own my own home so I can pay the bank and the government loads and loads and loads of money, and then I will be a slave. Do you know what mortgage means? Take the original Greek, mort, death, gauge, grip. It's a death grip. And the banks want you to own your own home so they can put you in a 25-year death grip where if you don't keep up repayments on your home, you may lose it. So think of the slow sales rates. Think of the cost of building. Think that we're maybe heading into a time where AI significantly gets adopted and now people start losing their jobs. Is that a time to have a massive overhead? The biggest overhead you've got, that they turn around and go, if you don't pay, we're taking your home off you and putting you on the streets. Not only do you not want that to happen and you'll do everything you can to stop it, but it's embarrassing. I bought a home, I couldn't afford to keep it, the bank took it off me. And embarrassment is the one thing that will make you strive and push and take sacrifices because no one likes to be embarrassed. But the government isn't accepting their responsibility for this. They're putting more and more obligations on builders to make it more and more difficult for them to construct new homes. And then they say we need more homes, but their stamp duty revenue is down. Their capital gains tax is down because landlords aren't selling because they can't afford to. Okay, their income tax is down because expenses are higher for these guys to operate their properties. So every angle that the government puts these new policies in to say you've got to be environmentally sustainable, we need air source heat pumps, solar panels, we need all these new, building regulation upgrades to insulate your property. It has to be a minimum size. It can't be 74 square meters anymore. It has to be 78 square meters. And we want you to sell it for less. It doesn't marry up. I don't actually think that the people in the government who want to see houses built know what they're doing. I don't think they've probably ever worked in the industry before. What I can tell you is new home sales are slow right now, that there's limited number of buyers in the market and they're competing with the resale market. They're competing with the home that was built 45 years ago for a fraction of the price, maybe a high spec, and although it's not brand new, it's still a nice house. And the premium that you get on a new build is very, very difficult to factor into a development appraisal these days. You used to say it's a brand new build, it's like buying a car off the forecourt, no one's ever driven it before, so therefore we can mark it up 10 or 15% on a resale price. Doesn't work like that anymore, guys. So if you're thinking of buying a new build home, go and have a look. Go and have a look because you can negotiate that premium probably at the moment. The developer is going to want to turn their stock over. They're going to have new sites to go onto. They're going to be thinking, I want to get out of this one and start my next one. Because if I'm not building, I'm not making money. I'm not sure if banks are offering interest-only mortgages yet. But if Rachel Reeves wants to get the housing market really moving, then go to interest-only mortgages for first-time buyers. Buy a property for $200,000, I'm only going to pay the interest on it. What happens if you don't repay the debt, Steve? How are you possibly going to, don't worry, because the house is the capital value of your investment. If I spend $200,000 on the house and I pay the mortgage for 10 years, the house should still be worth at least $200,000 in 10 years' time. The bank, when I sell it, can take the $200,000 back. Any capital growth is mine as a first-time buyer. That's my profit. I can use that as a deposit on my next home and I can move on. But it gets you on the property market quickly. It brings people's rental figures down. So instead of paying £1,000 a month on a repayment, you pay £500 a month on an interest-only payment. Now I've got money to spend. Now I can go out for dinner, buy a new car, I can buy some new furniture and I can get the economy moving. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm going to go and answer my phone. Talk to you soon.